I feel like everybody's always looking for a natural AI. Like, is DIM an AI? Is calcium D-glucarate an AI? Can these things lower estrogen? You know, people think that nicotine has some sort of major capacity to inhibit aromatase. There's guys that believe that tadalafil inhibits aromatase or can lower estrogen. And generally, none of that's true. I mean, DIM and calcium D-glucarate, they basically facilitate the metabolism of estradiol out of the system. Tadalafil very mildly modifies like some genetic activity having to do with aromatase. But look, I mean, none of these things are AIs, can be AIs, or actually lower estrogen in appreciable amounts. However, if you simply optimize the amount of free T3 that you have, particularly by taking selenium or otherwise working on thyroid hormones, that, my friends, is as close as you're going to get, besides actual AIs, to actual aromatase inhibition, which does lower serum estradiol levels. And we're going to talk about it. All right, before we get into the video, current specials on products super quickly. Number one, 20% off both of our new courses, Supercharged Dopamine and Nootropics Mastery. Code for that is 20 now. The big one, boys, the Cortex Nootropic Stack for like 1 of 2 times per year is buy one, get one free. The code for that is cortexbogo. You enter it at checkout. Literally buy one, get one free for the Cortex Stack right now. Torque Stack, all day mental energy. You can use the coupon code 15 now and get 15% off of this right now. And if you need to hire me for TRT protocol optimization, nootropic regimen formulation, energy optimization, sexual dysfunction, ED, host of other things, you can do that in under a minute at livecortex.com. Okay, now right off the bat, what the point that I want to make is that if you optimize thyroid hormones, which is why I'm so hot on that lately, then literally your free T3 and an optimized thyroid homeostasis will work to counter the expression of aromatase as well as estrogen in general. I mean, look, optimizing thyroid hormones, if you're a natural, may just fix your testosterone problem. Yes, you heard me right. If you've got a suboptimal, outputting thyroid hormone, you got hypothyroidism, you have something that is preventing thyroid hormones from outputting correctly, or you making them in adequate quantities, and then you get on thyroid medication or you start treating it naturally with perhaps selenium, you're going to have a lot better sexual function. I mean, there's no shortage of posts like this, better sexual function following T3 supplementation, where a guy goes, now I can get very good erections with stimulation, something that has rarely happened over the past 8 to 9 years. This is after starting to take T3 a month ago. I said he tried enclomiphene for 3 months, but didn't feel any different, right? So, I mean, enclomiphene is going to certainly raise your testosterone levels. And if that didn't fix the erection issues with this guy, T3 did. That's via a variety of different mechanisms, which actually help you make more testosterone. But again, T3 is counter to aromatase. Now, selenium, okay, a critically important nutrient that is like in my highlight box right now, like I'm just paying a lot of attention to it, helps you to convert T4 to essentially active thyroid hormone, which is T3. And interestingly, if you go and dig deep into the scientific literature, there's all kinds of papers on selenium itself, like downregulating the gene expression of aromatase. I mean, this is the enzyme that converts your testosterone into estrogen. Selenium suppressing aromatase activation. In studies on breast cancer, selenium is disrupting estrogen signaling by altering estrogen receptor expression and ligand binding in human breast cancer cells. Interestingly, selenium is being studied as an aromatase inhibitor alternative, right? Because we know in these high doses with aromatase inhibitors, there certainly are deleterious effects. I mean, there are negative effects on your health. Okay, now let's break this down. This is a paper that is titled Methylselenic Acid as a Novel Suppressor of Aromatase Expression. Now, MSA or methylselenic acid is not quite selenium. It is a metabolite of selenium. In this paper, they go elevated circulating estrogen levels as a result of increased peripheral aromatization of androgens by aromatase have been indicated to underlie the association between obesity and a higher risk of breast cancer in postmenopausal women. Okay, this is no surprise, right? Elevated levels of estradiol in susceptible individuals can cause all kinds of problems. Although aromatase inhibitors have been used as a first-line therapy for estrogen receptor-positive breast cancer in postmenopausal women, their potential as breast cancer chemo-preventive agents has been limited due to toxicities and high costs. Yes, at high levels, and squashing estradiol to non-readable levels or non-detectable levels is not good for your body. You could even call it toxic. And they go, it is therefore important to develop new aromatase inhibiting suppressing agents with lower toxicities and lower costs for breast cancer chemo prevention, especially in obese postmenopausal women. And basically, you know, what this selenium metabolite ultimately does for aromatase, which is critically important for keeping estrogen in range or in the sweet spot range for you, especially for guys that are on TRT. I mean, this is completely in the context of TRT. Is that this effect is attributable to a marked downregulation of promoters of aromatase mRNA expression, and thereby a reduction of aromatase protein. Now, why does this happen? Well, I mean, selenium converts more of your T4 into T3. I mean, that's a known thing. There are endocrinologists all over the world that are suggesting and basically prescribing, if you will, to their patients to take selenium when they've got Hashimoto's and otherwise thyroid disorders. Interestingly, though, okay, in porcine thecal cells, thyroid hormone, specifically T3, inhibits aromatase activity. In this particular study, they suggest a direct effect of T3 on the aromatase enzyme. All right, this is pretty critical. One of the huge issues on, you know, with men that are on TRT is, look, they're taking HCG for fertility, and, you know, for some men it helps sensation and erection quality and libido, and that's a great thing. I mean, I think HCG, if you can tolerate it, if you don't have any weird side effects or immunogenic reactions, then it's a pretty epic compound to be taking. However, like, it influences and basically upregulates aromatase expression in the testicles, right? Which makes you, I mean, everybody knows that if you didn't, you take HCG with your TRT protocol, you're going to have more estrogen. I mean, it's just cut and dry. There's a paper that demonstrated that T3 influences androgen metabolism in Sertoli cells. So these are intratesticular cells by inhibiting aromatase activity, and reduces drastically the ER contents in peripubertal hypothyroid rats. Okay, that means that T3 is having a direct effect not only on aromatase, so it's inhibiting aromatase, but it's also reducing estrogen receptors, either that or estrogen receptor function, which I find astounding. Here's another paper. Triiodithyronine, which is T3, decreases the activity of the proximal promoter. Again, it's these promoters of the aromatase gene in the mouse Sertoli cell line. The bottom line here is, like, everyone's looking at DIM or calcium D-glucarate or potentially tadalafil, and like everyone wants, like, to take an aromatase inhibitor that or something that lowers estradiol that isn't an aromatase inhibitor. And I don't blame people. Aromatase inhibitors are notoriously hard to dose. They can come with side effects. They can make you feel fucking terrible, right? I mean, if you can't get the dose right based on your dose of testosterone and your protocol's not straight, you're taking aromatase inhibitors, you're squashing the estrogen, you're going to feel like living hell. And nothing's going to work too, by the way. Your junk isn't going to work. Your libido's going to be shit. You're going to generally feel terrible. But guys, you know, no amount of, unless you're excessively dosing calcium D-glucarate, you know, and maybe like grapeseed extract and some of these other things that mildly affect aromatase, these things aren't really lowering estradiol to some significant extent. So, you know, like when the TRT and hormone optimization guys, who I've riffed on before, because generally the tone is let estradiol go, don't measure, and I think that's terribly irresponsible. What they have gotten right is that there are things that you can do in your physiology relating to optimizing your health that'll allow you to aromatize less, right? That'll force less aromatization via, as an example, having adequate levels of T3. Thyroid hormones, right, in the right places for you, generally that would be optimal ranges, not on the low end of the reference range, certainly not deficient on the reference range, but you want to be like kind of on the high end of the reference range. You want to be super optimal with thyroid hormones. That in and of itself is going to make it quantifiably so that you aromatize less testosterone into estrogen. Okay, so if people are looking for an alternative to taking exemestane or Arimidex, and they just can't get estradiol in the right place on TRT, no matter what the dose is, like, you really ought to look into optimizing thyroid hormones, and specifically you should start taking selenium. I've had clients that we can't get the erection quality and the libido where it needs to be, where you would think it should be for a guy that's going on exogenous testosterone, until we work on thyroid hormones. Then suddenly the erections come and stay. They stay. They don't just go down right away, right? There's consistent blood flow. The blood is actually properly being trapped in tissues to maintain an erection. And I've got guys that go on full-on thyroid hormones, like thyroid replacement, and then they get the sexual benefits of TRT. You're going to see that everywhere. I suggest you do the research. But selenium, in its ability to convert T4 to T3, and in some cases reduce thyroid antibodies, like this is pretty big. I mean, again, endocrinologists are suggesting this and prescribing this to people, and their numbers of thyroid antibodies go down. I mean, these are the antibodies that are attacking their tissue and preventing thyroid hormones from pumping out. These guys all have a marked symptom improvement relative to hypothyroid symptoms, as well as sexual symptoms. And these are guys that are on TRT. Now, is selenium going to be the answer for everybody? It depends. It depends on how bad your numbers are and what kind of thyroid issues you're having, if you have thyroid issues. Generally speaking, though, it's an innocuous supplement when taken under 400 micrograms per day. If anything, it's extremely useful in helping you produce energy and regulating body temperature. I mean, there are people that are cold all the time. I mean, that's severely indicative of a thyroid hormone issue that start taking selenium and suddenly they're not cold all the time. So it helps the thyroid hormones and therefore helps energy. But interestingly, in the literature, it also supports that it inhibits aromatase to a degree enough where it's appreciable enough to actually get a beneficial result when you're on TRT and you're trying to control for estradiol. So for those of you that are looking to find an alternative to Arimidex and other AIs, look at your thyroid hormones. See if you can get a full panel of T4, serum TSH, free T3, thyroid antibodies, and just see, are they low? Okay, you need to do something, and you need to do something ASAP because it'll change your life and you'll feel a lot better, and everything's going to work in the sexual department a lot better. If they're in range, but on the low end of the reference range, again, the same thing applies with testosterone. You might need to get them in optimal ranges in order to get symptom resolution of the things that you might be experiencing, like on TRT, whether it's erection issues or libido issues or energy issues in general. I can't tell you how significant of a difference it made when I started taking selenium for me personally. I was borderline hypothyroid. You know, when I tested many years ago, my free T3 was like 2.7. That's the bottom end of the reference range, man. And I physically felt it. You know, when I started optimizing thyroid hormones, like all of that changed. I wasn't the guy that was cold anymore. I had a lot more energy. And interestingly, I had positive benefits to the sexual system too. Now, it doesn't appear that you can actually get your hands on methylselenic acid. I mean, that's the selenium metabolite that is being used in these studies, but there are many papers on selenium in and of itself, inhibiting aromatase expression, modifying estrogen receptors in a positive way, downregulating estrogen receptor gene expression, aromatase expression promoters, and all this good stuff. So looking at taking selenium as your AI, so long as your testosterone dose is low enough but still good enough to get you a therapeutic benefit, where you're not aromatizing load, your body fat is significantly low, you don't drink a lot of alcohol, and you eat pretty well, that might be the magic bullet in people's TRT protocols to keep estrogen in the right place. And let me tell you that estradiol in the sweet spot range for you on TRT is critical to your experience, and it is a major contributor to a shitty experience on TRT, so much so that people say they don't really even actually feel the benefits of testosterone when estradiol is past a certain range. All right, gents, again, Cortex stack is buy one, get one free right now. We run those twice a year. Okay, this is significant. In order for people to make impulse purchases, like on stuff that they might want, there has to be a deal. This is a mega deal. I don't want to sound like a salesman because I actually hate that, but look, I mean, this stack is incredible. Instant brain energy, focus, flow, motivation, like the will to work. You actually feel like you're alive when you take Cortex. Get it right now. Buy one, get one free. Code for that is cortexbogo. Links are in the description. So are the codes. Torque Stack, I'll give you a code for that. 15% off. Code is 15 now. I mean, this is motivation, focus, and energy. Highly anti-inflammatory, highly dopaminergic, highly motivation inducing. Get the stack right now. Code for that is 15 now. 15% off the Torque Stack. And again, if you need to hire me for TRT protocol optimization, one of the main things I've been doing for many years that I've got a lot of experience in, nootropic regimen formulation, energy optimization, sexual dysfunction, dopamine restoration, lots of other specialties. You can do that in under a minute at livecortex.com. All right, everybody, like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, I guess. Appreciate that. Bucko. Sub to the channel. I really think you're going to love the content that comes out of here. Hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one.